Hi, everybody. Hold on. We had a little technical problem here, and unbelievable. Hey, guys. How are we doing? Hold on. Sorry. Had a little technical problem. If you're watching, this is Ocean's Pit, little show about big things, just moving our situation here. Sorry. Couldn't go live here, so we are okay. Just back into the studio here. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little intro. We had a little technical problem, but we are all here and we're all ready to go. Welcome to Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are too. And we have a special guest. First of all, before we bring on Dan Dillon, I want to thank you. Friday at noon, it is Ocean's Pit. It's another edition, a little lunchtime fun. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, but mostly it's dedicated to people like you who take the time and watch the show. We want to thank everybody in the military. Thank you, the veterans, for what you do for our country. And thank you all for watching. It's got a great show. My good buddy from the band Rumor Has It and Focal Point, and of course, Mojo's Jukebox, one of the greatest drummers, finest drummers in the city of Chicago. And there's a great musician, of course, and a good guy, Mr. Dan Dillon, will be joining us very shortly. So today is Wednesday, February 26th, a little lunchtime fun. Let's go to Hello, everybody. Another edition of Ocean's Pit. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty. That happens when you do something live. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and we have so much fun to talk about. We have a great week coming up, too. So first, I want to start off by thanking our sponsors. Of course, you can't do anything without our good sponsors, some Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local. A lot of good stuff happening with our good friends from JRC Ace Hardware. Save $3 on Pine Mountain 3-hour fire logs or Crackle fire logs 6-pack. You can save $3 on that. How about for $8 only, the Tomcat refillable mouse bait station, and it kills and contains mousetrap 2-pack for only $8. And how about $14.99 for Flex Glue, Flex Tape, Flex Paste, or Flex Seal rubberized sealants is only $14.99, and that's brought to you by our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Our good friends from Ace Hardware. Hope you guys are having a great day. I want to thank yesterday Carol Brandolino from Twisted Tuesday. And, of course, she'll be back with us tomorrow on Twisted Thursday as well. You know, she's just covering and filling in for Laura. And, everybody, thank you for all the texts and phone calls. You know, Laura's home now after the heart surgery. She's doing fantastic. So, again, thank you so much for that. So, a lot of fun, a lot of things to talk about. Dan Dillon will be joining us very shortly, folks. Tonight we'll be at Rosario's in Roselle. That's a 7:30 hit with Double T, Tony Toto. Tomorrow, sold out Ocean's Rat Pack show at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. It's Bill Saratella, Elliot Wimbush, yours truly as Dean Martin, and it's a special show, and that's tomorrow night at the Arcada Speakeasy in St. Charles. Friday, returning to Chicago Prime Steakhouse with Jumpin' Jerry Jams, and then, of course, Saturday, returning to Taverna on Division in Melrose Park. That's an 8 o'clock hit with Double T, Tony Toto. What else do we talk about? So much going on. Our prayers go out to former Governor Jim Edgar. He was a governor in Illinois from 1991 to 1999. He's 78 years old. He's got cancer right now, so our prayers go out to the Egner family. I got to meet Jim a couple times. Our prayers go out to that. Hooters is filing bankruptcy. Hooters. I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, when I was younger, we all went to Hooters. First of all, a lot of people went to Hooters for the women, right? Obviously, when you were a kid, because the way they were dressed up and stuff like that, with the shorts and the Hooters shirts and stuff like that. And they were really big in the 70s and the 80s. They even had their own airlines for a while. But right now they're filing for bankruptcy because they're saying the Generation Z men, younger generation of this day, folks, prefer getting stoned at home, gambling on their phones, and watching porn and waiting for their Uber Eats to drop off pizza. So a lot of people are not going back to Hooters. So Hooters will be filing bankruptcy, and they are. As crazy as it is. Circus in Las Vegas is up for sale, another casino. I never cared for Circus in Las Vegas, folks, because that was the time when they turned everything kid-friendly. And I was in Las Vegas in 2000 at the Riviera when people still came and they dressed up, and it was still a great place like Las Vegas. Now Las Vegas is not like it is anymore. Circus was there perfectly, just to have the people that can bring their kids. And now they can play the kids' games and stuff like that. So that is up for sale. I don't know what's going to go there, but we'll see what happens with that. Interesting as that goes. Also, people down in the businesses in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, if you're out in that area, folks, you go downtown Lake Geneva, you find a place to park, you pay the meter, and you walk the strip and whatever you're going to do in Lake Geneva. But there's a lot of people who own businesses in Lake Geneva right now are very upset what's going on. To park now in those meters, it's $4 an hour. $4 an hour. A lot of people are not going there anymore. I don't know if it really affects. I mean, this summer people are still going to go. They're still going to pay the $4 an hour, but $4 an hour seems like it's a little pricey for people to have to park. And then every hour you have to check. You have to check it after whatever it is, or you have to pay for a certain amount for you there for the day. But these are some of the business people that are complaining in the Lake Geneva area. I don't know. Everything's going up in prices right now. But downtown Lake Geneva in the summer, I'm sure you all been there. It is fantastic over there. And I have a lot of fun there. And, I love playing up in Lake Geneva. Dan Dillon will be joining us very shortly, folks. He's from the band Rumor Has It and Focal Point. And he's also our drummer in Mojo's Jukebox. So we're going to be having him on in just a few minutes. What else can we talk about, folks? Does anybody wash dishes anymore by hand, or they go to the dishwasher? Now, I don't know how many people still do that. But before we answer that question, let's see who's watching right now, people that are watching. Let's see. Oh, sorry, get back there. Like I said, we had some technical difficulty today, but we're good here. There's Dave Antonelli. How you doing? Carol, Erica, Double T, another great drummer in Chicago. There's Holy Roly. Buddy, Jerry Jams is in the house watching our good friend Angelo Packy. We went during the week, September on Tuesday, could not get parking spot during the day. Carol Minotti, that happens. September is still, the weather is still good and people are still out there. So, Mary, how are you doing? Kathy, you're watching Ocean Spit. Thank you for joining us. Dick Sayed, Alderman of Des Plaines, is in the house. David, how you doing? Louis Pipes from Airtight Windows, folks. Don't forget my buddy Joe from Indiana. All right, so thank you guys for watching. Hey, guys, you guys gamble? How about a brand new watch? The Jacob Corporation has come up with a brand new watch. It costs $280,000, and you can play roulette on your watch that spins on command. $280,000 for a watch. You can play roulette on it and spins on demand. Yeah, for all you gamblers out there, I wouldn't spend that much money even if I had $280,000 to spend on a watch. Is that crazy or what? Unbelievable. Press, media, you never know what to believe now. A new coronavirus, supposedly in China, another pandemic. You can never believe what these media says. The CDC say, everything that went through back in 2020, you never know what's real, what isn't. But if anything's going to happen, it's going to start in China, just like it did. Michael, good afternoon, sir. Marion, we have a dishwasher. Okay, go back to the question. Hand wash dishwasher. Now look, I still wash dishes. I will rinse the dish out before I put it in the dishwasher, utensils, whatever it is. It's not that, they show those commercials with those pads, the little eye things that you put in there to wash the dishwashing soap, whatever it is, right? And if you take a plate completely dirty and you put it in your dishwasher without rinsing it out, I'm sorry, you're going to still get shit on your plates, on your cups, on your dishes, and silverware. So, most people, I would think, still rinse off the plate before you put it in the dishwasher. But it's amazing. Some people don't even do that. They just take it and put it right into their dishwasher. I like a dishwasher. Hubby washes by hand. Very important, Karen. Yeah, I think so too. Right? We talk about everything on this crazy show. How about some good things? San Diego's migrant shelter closed its doors, laying off 100 employees, folks. Nobody is crossing the border over there in San Diego. It's a good sign. I don't care. We've talked about this many times on this show. I don't care who wants to come to the greatest country in the world, but just come in like we all do, just like my parents did, just like your parents did. And it's a first step. So I think it's a good thing. I wash before I put in the dishwasher. Most of you guys do. Well, thank you for your answers on that. Very, very cool. Wow. I got so much to talk about before we bring Dan Dillon on in just a couple minutes. Starbucks, for all you Starbucks people out there who love the coffee. Well, they're doing major layoffs over there. 1,100 jobs will be eliminated, but this is in the corporate field only of Starbucks coffee. And supposedly also they're going to be getting rid of some of their mocha type coffees, like 13 or 14 different cups of coffee that they have there at Starbucks. They're going to remove them from the menu because a lot of people are not drinking those. So that's another thing that's happening with the Starbucks. I'm not a coffee guy myself. I have a cup of coffee every morning, just a decaf cup because it's warm. And that's probably the only reason why I have it, just for my throat. All right, let's get right to another sponsor before we bring up my good buddy Danny Dillon, folks. Let's get right to real estate at its finest. You got to love my good friend Mary Grievous. Don't just call me when you're ready to buy or sell. Contact me when you're considering your buying. She's your forever agent. Mary Grievous at mgrievousstarkre.com, or give her a call at 630-688-1725. Berkshire Hathaway Stark Real Estate with my good friend Mary Grievous. And if you're talking about Mary with real estate, let's go to Mary with the Chicago Music Cruise, folks. 22 days away? Are you excited about that? I know I am. I know Dan Dillon is. It's going to happen March 22nd to March 30th, 2025. The Royal Caribbean Oasis of the Seas. It's 8 days. It's spring break. Fort Lauderdale, Carousel, Aruba, and Coco Key, Bahamas. We're happy to be performing on again this year, but we got some other great band. Of course, Mojo's Jukebox will be there. All three Jersey Girls, Tony Ocean, the main event band, Scott Childers from WLS, Hillbilly Rock Stars, Frankie Boom Boom, Hollywood Rodriguez, and of course, the Kings himself, Seventh Heaven. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're thinking about joining us, go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com. Put in Tony Ocean, or give Mary a call at NTD Vacations at 630-688-1725 and say, hey, I want to go on the Ocean with Ocean and join us on this. This is our second Chicago Music Cruise, so I'm excited about that, folks. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. It's Wednesday, the 26th of February, and I think it's time that we're going to be bringing in our guest for today. You know, folks, Mel Lennon, I hope your fiance is doing better. I know that you put it on your Facebook that he's having some health issues. So, Mel, our prayers go out to your fiance. Tony, can you have the flying sign for me, please? I will put that up in a very minute, Marion. But before that, we got to bring up our guest. I have guests from all over. If you watch the show for the very first time, I have guests from all over. I have political guests, actors, people who own businesses, people who are promoting something. And I love to have bands on, musicians on, promoting what they're doing, because I think it's important to let people know that some of these bands maybe you've never heard of or you never got a chance to go see, you could go out and see them. And I think it's very important. So let's get right to my guest today. Drummer for Your Rumor Has It, Focal Point, and Mojo's Jukebox, my buddy, Bam Bam himself, Danny Dillon. Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Tony. How you doing?
Good, pal. Thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. Where are you at? You at home right now?
Yeah, I'm at home. Yeah.
Okay.
In my little basement studio.
And your studio. Okay, we're going to get right to start right from the top. Danny, where were you born, my friend?
Chicago. I grew up on the Northwest Side, Belmont Central, Foreman High School alumni.
Very cool.
Right there. Actually, I spent some time living on Elmwood Park because I know you've got some ties over there too. So, and then when I got a job, I was a teacher for 35 years. So when I got a job up here in Grays Lake, I had to make the big move. So
make the move as you did. Now, Dylan, nationality, what is that? Irish?
Irish. My dad's Irish. My mom's Polish. So
well, let me ask
you, Danny, no problem with temper on either side there. No. So
growing up in an Irish neighborhood as an Irish family, what's a regular day like when you were growing up as a kid?
I was what do they call that? A latchkey kid, because my dad worked during the obviously during the day, and then my mom worked at night. So when I came home, she was like, we missed each other. So I had to get myself out of the house. And back in the day, we used to be able to walk home for lunch. You know, there was nobody there. So that's what my day looked like. And I thought nothing of it, like being home without a parent and letting myself in when I'm 9 years old. It didn't make a difference. Nowadays, like, I don't know, DCFS would be called or something like that. So
yeah, you know what, Danny,
times have changed.
Yeah, same thing with me. My dad worked nights. My mother didn't speak much English, so I can basically get away with murder as a kid. But now these days you can never do that. No. Now when you were growing up, any people in your family did they play an instrument? Who influenced you as a kid?
Actually, I had some friends in the neighborhood that influenced me. My friend Rich he was 10 years older than me, but he lived down the block and he had a set of drums. He had a friend too. And I don't know, one thing led to another. And I got interested in it. And I had another friend, my friend Brian, God rest his soul. He played guitar. So, I mean, there was an automatic kind of little kid band. And then it just kind of went on from there. And I played through high school and even in the bands in college and everything like that. And like I said, when I got in my career, I kind of dropped out of it. And then I met some teacher musicians when I got over to Highland Park High School and kind of never looked back. So,
and you know what?
It's going strong.
And then you said, of course, some of your favorite drummers. Of course, you mentioned John Bonham. You mentioned Neil Peart. And, of course, you started with Ringo, obviously.
Everything starts with Ringo.
Everything starts with Ringo.
Everything starts with Ringo.
As a drummer, a lot of people, now Ringo is getting a hell of a lot more respect than he used to. But it didn't seem like a lot of people, was Ringo, those songs. They're not easy to play. He had a weird technique of playing drums. Am I correct on that?
He had a swing. And it was, even if you're playing a 4-on-the-floor beat, he just had a swing to it from kind of a little bit of his jazz background. And he was incredible. And you're right. When I was listening to the Beatles music, I was like, well, this is an easy song to play. This is an easy song. And I would listen to Rush and I'm like, well, that's not an easy song. So, but to be honest with you, both great drummers in their own way. Same thing like Charlie Watt for Rolling Stones. I mean, some simple beats here and there, but he laid down the backbeat for all those great tunes and came up with some great parts and tremendous. Those guys are great in their own ways.
And another thing too, Danny, drummers in general, back in the 70s, I remember it was Neil Peart with the big drums with I don't know how many, and then you had Carl Palmer with Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Peter Criss with 32-piece drums and all that. Basically at that time, I mean, it was wasn't it all for show? Or I know Neil Peart played a lot of the actual and Carl Palmer and stuff like that, but basically wasn't it mostly for show? I mean, what did you think of Peter Criss I just lost Dan Dillon. Dan, you might have to come back in again, brother. Oh, there is. Okay, hold on. We just lost Danny, and now we're going to bring him back again. Danny, there you are. We lost you for a minute. Can you hear me, buddy? Dan, can you hear me? Hello? Dan Dillon, can you hear me? Looks like you're frozen here. All right, Dan Dillon is our guest, folks, but I think he's frozen on his side. So let's see. You are frozen. Sorry, folks, you are frozen. Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Dan Dillon is with us, but right now I can see he's frozen. You might want to log in and come back in. I'm contacting log out, come back in, log out, sorry about this, folks. Come back in. Dan Dillon is frozen right now. Our guest drummer for, here he is. He's coming back on another side now.
I
Let's
got
see
my
if we can
phone.
get him in. All right. Now, okay. So we got,
Hey,
there you are.
Modern
All right.
technology, right?
It works as long as you're, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're jumping right on that. So Danny, going back, those drummers who had all those big sets, were they using them or was it basically just for show?
I think a little column A, column B. You know, you talk about guys like Neil Peart and Carl Palmer and those kind of guys. I mean, they were progressive, like that prog rock. So they had a lot of melody with their playing, along with different percussion and all that type of stuff. So they kind of used it. But for that type of music, I guess I don't want to say it's necessary, but they utilized it. But when you get to guys like John Bonham that used 5 drums and 3 cymbals. He got a lot of play out of that, but the type of music that they played, it was perfect. They didn't need any more. So I think you develop a style, and either the band develops around that type of drummer, or the drummer builds his set by what the band needs. And I have a couple different things. When I play with you, I don't bring a lot. And then there's other bands that I'll play with that need some more stuff, so I'll bring some more stuff. So I even bring an electric kit once in a while when it's a small room. So
It's a small room.
I think that's it's the drummers are there to support, and it's not always about us. But we try and support the band as much as we possibly can with what we need.
That's a great attitude for drummers, because a lot of drummers want to show more than they, and
Yep.
that's just the way it is. You were a teacher for a lot of years, 6 years as a teacher. Boy, imagine
35
being a
years,
teacher-
35 years, teacher.
35 years. Danny, imagine being a teacher now. Can you handle that, being a teacher now compared to the way the world is right now?
Well, I'm retired now for 4 years.
Okay.
And there at the end of my teaching career, there is absolutely a difference. Not necessarily the kids. The kids are the same, but they change based on what they're allowed or not allowed to do. And the rights that they have and all that type of stuff. And when we went to school, the teacher was always right. And within reason, obviously. But nowadays, it's the kid's always right for a lot of times, and the teachers called. I've got lots of stories where they took the teacher through a ringer, and then when it was all said and done, the kid did cheat on the final. The kid did get his homework from somebody else. But all that time they're blaming the teacher, and lawyers get involved. We're a very litigious society nowadays. So could I do it? Yeah, absolutely. But I was a physical education guy. I was in the weight room, and it was a very active job. And I'm not saying I couldn't still do it, but there
Right.
comes a time when maybe younger people have to take over, like I did when I started my career.
Absolutely. And it's good to have, because that's why being a teacher, you're good with people, because you have to be, especially with all the different personalities. And that's just like a drummer has to deal with a lot of personalities when it comes to musicians, whether it's the lead singer, whether it's the lead guitar player that overplays, or the singer that, has to be the star of the show. But I really believe, you know what I mean? Yeah. Right. Look, like, imagine being the drummer. Imagine being Alex Van Halen, having Eddie there with his personality, and then David Lee Roth with his personality. It makes you wonder why some of these bands probably don't last as well as they do. Dan Dillon, local drummer, they call him that guy. He's the go-to guy because he plays with a lot of different bands, and when he substitutes for a lot of different bands, Rumor Has It is one of them. Dan, if they're going to come see Rumor Has It for the first time, what kind of music would they expect to hear from Rumor Has It, and how long they
you know what? I really kind of hang my hat on saying that it's interactive, which we want the crowd involved. We want them either singing along or we want them dancing. It's rock, pop, country covers, and party rock. So we really try and interact with the crowd. We do songs that are familiar, and we kind of do some songs that put our own spin on them. We've got a dynamic lead singer, and she's amazing and is very captivating to not only listen to, but to watch. So it's a great band to be in as a drummer, and to get to watch people respond to her and our guitar player David and everybody. Like it's a cool thing. So I always say, as a drummer, I have the best seat in the house, because I
Yes,
don't
yes.
get a chance to see everything that's going on with you guys, but I get a chance to see how the crowd's reacting, and make some eye contact with people. It's I really love it.
You think there's a difference between having a male lead vocalist or a female lead vocalist? Do you think there's a big difference there?
I think depending on the type of music you do, there's been some females that can do some male vocals pretty well. But there's also, some bands that just the vibe is better with a male. But then there's also some bands, like I know some bands that are out there that have a female or two female lead singers, and the vibe is great with them, and actually wouldn't be very good with a male. So I think it depends on the band that you're in, the type of music you're playing, and actually the lead singer, because they have to have that cultive personality to the point where they're captivated. You don't want necessarily be in a band and have them only watching one person in the background. Like, the front people are front people for a reason. So if
Yeah.
they're captivating, that's a good sign of a good band.
Absolutely. And then you have another great band, Focal Point. We had Michael on the show, the lead singer.
Yeah.
And now they do a lot of classic rock too, as well.
Yeah, that's my classic rock fix. Your Journey, your Boston, your Styx, your all that type of stuff. And Mike, that's led by two brothers, Mike and Frank Oliveira, and they're just terrific people. And Mike's got a tremendous voice, and again, a very captivated frontman. His brother does some harmonies that are just outstanding, and those guys have been around for a while. And I get a chance, when rumor has us not playing, if they've got a gig, I hop in with them, and and that's the other thing too. At this stage, you talk about people and personalities. That's what it's all about with me. It's
Yeah.
that it's about the people. I would have a hard time playing in some type of situation where I couldn't get along with the people. It's really all about that connection.
I agree with you. Now you have two kids, right? You have a kid named Matthew and a kid named Joseph, if I
do.
got that right.
Yeah,
And,
man. About 27,
are they,
Joe's 25.
Do they play? Do they play instruments?
Absolutely, they do. My oldest son is a violinist. He started when he was 5, and the peaks and valley of that. But then when he got to high school, he was in the orchestra, and he really flourished there. And now he's in college. He goes to Lake Forest College, and he still is taking lessons, and he still gets a chance to play. He plays for church. So he's still active musician. And my other son, he's a financial analyst right now, but he is a drummer. And if he ever wanted to pick this up again, he'll come over to the house and get us fixed for like an hour. But if he ever wanted to pick it up again, he's got some great skills. And I know if it happened like me, I took a lot of time off. But if anything ever happened and he wanted to get into it, I'm sure he could hop right in. Yeah, so they're both very musically inclined.
Now they come and see your shows, obviously. What do they think about Dad when they see Dad up there playing?
They don't really come see. Once in a while, they'll come see a show. Like if I have a show on my birthday, what do they think about me? I don't know. I'm still Dad. You know how that goes.
Yeah, but I'm sure
other kids think, well, your dad's cool. It's like, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
Instead of playing golf every day, he's on the weekends playing drums at bars. So
He's banging on the drums. Our good friend also, Mike Restivo, is watching. The reason why I met you, of course, with Mojo,
Yeah,
is
that's
because of
it.
Michael with Stephen McVie, which is doing very well. Obviously, Bonzo the cat has to be named after John Bonham. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
There you
Bonzo's
go.
named after the man, the myth, and the legend. So it was either going to be Bonzo or the Professor, which was Neil Peart's nickname, but Bonzo was easier to say.
But
So
yeah,
he's
absolutely.
great.
And
He's
it
my buddy.
sounds cooler. Yeah, and it sounds cooler actually.
Yeah.
Dan Dillon's with us, folks, from Rumor Has It, and of course Focal Point. He's also our drummer in Mojo's Jukebox. You know what? I like that band, Mojo's Jukebox. We have a lot of fun with it, which and I'm excited. We know we got the Chicago Music Cruise coming up.
Yes.
What was your experience on the cruise that you liked? What did you like about the last one we did in January?
What didn't I like? You know, it was the first cruise I'd ever been on. So
Wow. Okay.
just that whole aspect of it was incredible. And then, you know, to share the stage with you guys and be part of that and, you know, go see Seventh Heaven. Then when they were playing and there was that other band that was in one of the lounges and it's just everybody's there and they're in a good mood. You know, that's one of the reasons that I'm going again. Like I need that break. I need to get away, and I'm fortunate enough to have an opportunity to do it. And
Yeah.
if I can sit with you guys, that makes it even more fun. So
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. There is no downside at all.
No, I agree with you. Okay, so now obviously when it comes to bands in Chicago, there's always been that talk about the bands with the tracks, the bands that just play live. You know what? I've always thought the people that bitch about the bands with the tracks are the bands that are probably not working.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of jealousy out there. I
Yeah.
know you do both. I know you do both. You do
Yeah.
both. Do you prefer just live? Because the tracks, there is a little more work to it,
I do.
right?
I mean, I do. But with that being said, you know, as we find out, sometimes the tracks, everybody, you know, like I think I've said many times, people are like, well, people using tracks, that's easy. You know, they're cheating. They're not cheating. And speaking as the drummer, like it's harder. You know, we all trying to have a good meter or a metronome that keeps us in the ballpark with our tempo. But I mean, now if you really fall off, you have to cancel the track. So all the bands that use that, there's a lot going on, and you know, some bands make their own tracks. So it's even though they're not playing that instrument, they did play that, and that's their guitar playing, that's their keyboard player, it's them singing. So and then they put it all together. It's a lot of work to kind of put together tracks, and you got to practice with them. So even though it's easier without, there's some merit to the bands that use them. So I
And
give
also, Danny,
full love.
also too, besides you doing the tracks too, you're also got a good voice, and you have to sing too. So
Thank
you're
you.
doing a lot behind the drums there, folks. Dan Dillon from
Okay,
Rumor
thank
Has
you
It,
so much.
Mojo's Jukebox, and of course Focal Point. We got more time with Dan, but real fast we got to get another sponsor because it pays the bills. That's how that works. We're talking about our good friends from Imperialux, folks. That's right. How about becoming your own bank? Oh, it's very simple. Imagine putting your money to work for you, becoming your own bank and making your dream retirement reality with guaranteed lifetime income. Wendy Thompson and Craig Coughlin help you create personal pensions, grow your wealth, secure a legacy. It's never too late. Take charge of your financial future today, 630-890-1213, or book them on Calendly for a free consultation and start building the retirement you deserve. That's Imperialux. And speaking of Imperialux, Wendy Thompson, who's this is her company. They're going to be on the cruise. She does the Britney Spears and the Marilyn Monroe show that's going to be on our cruise too. And they're also going to be doing a seminar on the cruise so you can actually meet them and talk to them. Imperialux, 630-890-1213. Dan Dillon is in the house. Speaking of drummers. All right, Danny, overrated drummer. If you had to say one drummer that's overrated, who would it be?
Wow. I don't know if I can answer that question. Geez, there's
How
a lot
about
of
one who puts
there's a
how
lot of
about one
underrated
who puts
ones.
okay, wait,
But
yeah.
overrated.
Overrated drummer that maybe just gets too much hype and is really not that good. Now, let me ask you, was Peter Criss in that category of Kiss?
Well, I mean, it's written that he was in the books that came out from Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. There were some like matching up stories that they had to teach him how to keep a beat and things like that. So, and again, I'm just going by what I've read, but there's some substantiated evidence that, and I think he got a lot of press because, well, as we were talking the other day, one of Kiss's biggest songs was the song that he wrote and sang, Beth.
Beth.
So I think he got a lot of credit for that, and I think after he left the band and all the other stuff went with the other drummer that passed away,
Yeah.
then he kind of made a stink about things. So I think he kind of gave himself his own press, which wasn't, sometimes negative or positive. Press is good, press is press, right? But
Yeah.
that's a good example, I would say, of a person that was in a great band, but certainly wasn't the reason they were a great band.
They were that big. And also, true, Danny, there's a lot of drummers that can play live very good, but when you get them in the studio, it's not that easy.
No. Yeah, Tommy Aldridge he's a fantastic drummer, but he talks about that all the time. He played with Whitesnake and he played with Ozzy. And a lot of times he was brought on to be the live drummer, not because he couldn't do it in the studio, but there was another drummer that played a lot of those studio tunes. And he gives total credit to them. And he came out and just gave the live energy at the time because the other drummer had passed away. And so, yeah, I think there is a difference. There's some studio drummers that everybody talks about, Jeff Porcaro and, all those
Yeah.
Steve Gadd and all those guys that are great. But, they're just really good at that. But they can also play live. I mean,
Play live. And a lot
Yeah.
of people the drummers would rather come into the studio, don't have to travel, don't have to do all this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
with their money and do what they're doing.
Hal
Dan
Blaine,
Dillon is
Hal
in the
Blaine,
house.
Hal Blaine is the drummer on a zillion songs we've listened to our whole life.
Our
And
whole life.
some people wouldn't even know what he looked like.
Yeah, that's true. And right. They just know that the drummers know who he is. Absolutely. Then underrated, there's got to be tons of underrated great drummers out there, some that are very popular. Do you have a favorite drummer if you had a go-to besides Bonzo or Neil Peart and Ringo?
I mean, one of my faves, actually kind of cut from the same cloth, Taylor Hawkins from Foo Fighters passed away. I
Yes.
feel like he was in a great band, but he was a great drummer. And I think sometimes he was overshadowed by the band and then Dave Grohl. And Dave Grohl is a great drummer himself. But if you listen to some of that Foo Fighters stuff, there's some incredible drumming going on in there, both by Dave and Taylor Hawkins. So, yeah, I think that's one that kind of fits that category.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Also, yeah, being in bands like you are, like you said, dealing with different personalities and everything like that, Dan, it's got to be almost like a marriage in one way. And what happens, I don't know if this happens to you, but what happens, like, especially now in this crazy world, when there's a political stuff that happens in between bands? Some bands won't play with each other because this guy likes this guy and this guy likes that guy. Isn't that kind of nonsense when it comes to
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. With rumor has it, we're all over the board as far as, but we're in a band and we're making music. We're not talking politics, and we talk about it at practice. But anybody that shies away from it, I think if you're just not gonna be friends or be associated with people that think differently than you, then you're missing out on opportunities to have conversations with people. Maybe you can learn something about it, or maybe if they will talk to you, maybe they can see your point of view. I mean, I feel bad. I just recently had a story about a person that left the band because he found out the political views of somebody in the band, and because of that, he left the band. Had nothing to do with the music. And like it was unbelievable. So
it's pretty sad in society how
I think that's ridiculous.
I agree with you. You got Dan Dillon on, one of the great drummers in the Chicagoland area. It's time for another JRC Minute, and we're talking about our good friends from Ace Hardware. It's the Ace Hardware Minute, brought to you by JRC Hardware Stores. The weather for today, for February 26th, it's 46 degrees right now, 42, a little cloudy, humidity is 75%, wind chill is 8 miles an hour with a little rain this morning. That is your Ace Minute, brought to you by JRC Hardware Stores. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Dan, if you can be in one band, if you can join, I mean, let's talk about famous bands. If you get the chance to sit in with one band, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Well, it wouldn't be Rush. As much as I love them. I think it, not that I can absolutely emulate, but the drive of like a Led Zeppelin, something like that was great. And the other one of my favorite bands that was a one of the first prog bands that I listened to was a band called Kansas.
Yeah.
And their drummer, Phil Hayhart, they still play. He still plays with Kansas. He's incredible. And that, when I would practice in my basement as a kid, that's the music I would blast Left Overture, their album at the time. And I would go from the beginning of the side to the end of the side of the album. And I think, that type of music, I would say something like that, because you get a chance to be a little melodic. There's some
Yeah.
space. And again, to emulate him, that's not what I'm saying, but that type of music, is just real fun, so.
And also, let's go back to another band, for instance, The Who. Keith Moon, crazy
Yeah.
drummer. They also said that he never played the same thing twice.
Nope.
That's got to be very hard for John Entwistle, was the Ox, the bass player alone. But then they had a drastic change when Kenny Jones from Faces joined. It made a completely different group.
Yeah, I mean, there was something that was about Keith Moon saying why he never did drum solos, and Roger Daltrey says because the whole song was a drum solo to him, so he would just play. But when you go down the rabbit hole, listen to videos about Keith Moon and his tragic life, but also successful life. His drumming followed the singer. He would follow like some type of groove that was going on from the singer and Pete Townsend, and that's where he was developing it. And I think you're right. Like Entwistle was kind of following that. It's not like normally where those two are locked in. I think you
Correct.
give a lot of credit to Entwistle because he was kind of filling in the gaps that he was all over the place.
He was
There's
all over the
a
place.
drummer that you're never going to see a lot of people, be like Keith Moon. Like you could see a lot of people be like Neil Peart and other drummers and really emulate them pretty well. But I had never known of anybody that that says they're like a Keith Moon tribute drummer. So
Dan, is there with all the bands you play, you look down at the set list and here comes this one song that shit, you don't want to do it. You have to do it. There's got to be one or two. And you're with all the bands you played, it's like, oh shit, we really have to do this song tonight. Is there any like that, or do you really care? Just have fun playing all the songs.
well, I mean, I think a lot of cover bands, and that the name of the song is leaving me right now, but it's the famous Journey song, "Don't Stop Believing."
Don't stop believing. Yeah. Yes.
Although I will say, because I think because I've played it for so long, but I remember when I remembered learning that song, the groove that Steve Smith put together for that, it's very involved. And I can remember trying to practice it and being frustrated and throwing my sticks against the wall and like being in, it was one of those type of things that when you get it, you get it. But you know what? The crowd loves that song. The
Yeah,
crowd
they do.
absolutely loves that
No matter
song.
what.
Nothing like seeing the crowd and people rush the stage and everybody singing at the top of their lungs. And it's not a song. I don't know if there's a song that I hate to play, but that's just one that it brings a
That's one
smile
that
to my
irritates
face.
you.
It brings a smile.
In your opinion, now since you're talking about Journey, were they better with Tommy Aldridge or were they better with Steve Smith?
Well, Steve Smith is their guy. So that's the guy that you have to go. And then the Dean Casanova is the guy that took over.
Right.
And then the biggest thing about Dean, besides him being a great drummer, he's a fantastic vocalist. Like
Yes, he is.
He has some Steve Perry qualities. And
Yes.
then the first drummer that was with them was Ainsley Dunbar. A Brit
Angie Dunbar,
that
that's it.
he was
Not-
on
not
their
Tommy
first couple
Aldridge. Yeah, Dunbar.
first couple albums, and
Yeah.
he was terrific. But they made a change when that happened. Of course, the keyboard player came into the band and wrote some of those great songs. So
Jonathan Cain, who left the
yeah,
Babies,
Jonathan Cain, right.
He was with the
Yeah,
Babies and then
he's
went to Journey.
I read
That's
his
right.
book. Like he was talking about the fire and the Chicago fire and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff. I think he's a survivor of that.
I think so too. From the
Yeah.
school, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Dan Dillon's here from, of course, Focal Point, and rumor has it, and Mojo's Jukebox. Time for another quick sponsor, real for our good friends from Jack Vena Landscaping, folks. It's that time of season right now where people might need the landscaping, folks, and why I promote so much of the great companies here from Ocean's Pit is because buy local, shop local. Jack Vena Landscaping, they offer monthly maintenance programs, bush trimming, spring fog cleanup, bed mulching, fertilizing, weed control. They offer plant design, service, installation, servicing the North Shore for 44 years. Call Tommy at 847-432-5266. And then if you're talking about landscaping, you're talking about getting new windows. How about airtight windows and siding? If you want looking for windows and you want it done right, do it right with Airtight for honesty, quality, dependability. Do it right with Airtight. Service in Chicagoland for 35 years. Do it right with Airtight. Call Louis Pipes at 708-788-5000 and tell them you need some new windows and sidings. Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Dan Dillon is in the house. Dan, all the great drummers out there. The difference, in your opinion, was Charlie Watts a better drummer than Ringo or vice versa? Can they work in both bands?
I think they had similar qualities. I think, they played for the music. I just being a bigger Beatles fan, not that I don't like the Stones, but just, growing up, I had every Beatles album. I have them someplace.
Yeah.
I think the parts that Ringo, wrote and went around the music are just so iconic. And maybe I don't know enough about the Stones catalog, some of their B-side stuff, but that's the only thing I could say about Ringo. Charlie Watts, great backbeat guy and played for the song. But, we can all think of some beats like Come Together. Ringo made that thing, and there's so many more that are like that are just iconic. If you heard that without any melodic music, you would still know it's Come Together.
Come together. You don't even need the Rich McCaw. I'm going to throw a few drummers' names at you, and you could just give me a thumbs up of what you think of them. Let's start with Clem Burke. Are you familiar with Clem Burke from the Romantics and Blondie?
Didn't he Blondie? He was Blondie, right?
Yeah.
Was he with Blondie? Way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Way ahead of his time. So. That break, and being a cover drummer, the break in one way or another, if you think you're just going to sit down and just rip through that thing because the song's easy, you got another thing coming. Like you're going to go into it and you're like, oh, wait. I can remember being very frustrated at that when I had to learn it for some band that I was playing in. Clem, way ahead of his time.
What about, let's go to one of my favorites, Stuart Copeland from the Police.
Absolutely phenomenal. I would say some of there's, and I didn't say him as one of my influences because I really only think I pick up one thing, but the way he used his bell on his ride cymbal and the way he did his accents on cymbals, his upbeat accents were just, they're incredible. And I think I tried to add that in some of the songs that I play in the cover bands, even if it's not Police song. And, because he brought that reggae feel into, rock. And I think that's all, based on where he grew up. He had that culture. So when he met up with those guys, that was his rhythm. That came natural, and it was a brand new thing for all of us when we listened to him. He's terrific and a great guy to listen to. He doesn't hold back. So great guy.
He lets it all have it, right?
Yeah, he does.
Also, let's go back to March 20th, March 15th, 16th, 2020. COVID-19 hits the news, the world. Can't leave the house. You can't play gigs anymore. You can't do this. Danny, what was the first thing that you thought about when you first heard that?
Well, obviously the first thing was my career as a teacher. We were stuck, and I'm not saying anything's better or worse, but being a physical education teacher, and trying to have classes that were online, I tried to do a lot of different things, and finally the class, I will give credit to the kids that were in my class. We made it work the best we could. We decided that, the days that we met, we would get, on Zoom, a 20-minute workout in and talk about it and talk about a couple things. And then we called it a day. And then, that was a tough time for teachers. for a while. Just because
Yeah,
it was uncharted territory. We didn't know, nobody knew how to navigate it. But I
no,
do
that's
feel
true. And then
like
a
I
lot of
made the best of it. I would never, that gave me a whole different perspective on people that work from home. I always just say, oh, it must be nice. It's not nice. I could
no,
never do
it's not
that.
nice.
I couldn't do it.
I agree. And then you got a lot of musicians that I remember when we played, because we played through a lot of the COVID. We
Yeah.
were still doing, we got a lot of shit from people. How dare you go out and play? And, like I
Yeah.
said, I didn't have money coming in. A lot of people had work. They could get
Yep.
paid from work. They got paid to stay home. Us musicians, we couldn't do that as full-time musicians. It is. Dan
Well-
Dillon is from Rumor Has It, Mojo's Jukebox and Focal Point. A couple questions here before you leave, Danny. Let's go to, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Favorite
Awesome.
word?
Awesome.
Awesome.
I
What is
think I
your
use that
least-
more than, huh?
Okay, your least favorite word?
Oh, can I have a phrase?
Sure.
You know, you know, you know, you know, you know.
I hate that. I
You
hate that.
know.
How about when they go,
You know?
when people go, bro,
Yeah.
listen to this,
Oh,
bro.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, that drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually?
Spiritually, I mean, I'm a church goer. So, and one of the things that's been great that has really brought it back to me is that my son is heavily involved with it. And nothing's better than catching that spiritual vibe when you've got, your son and family that also is involved too. And it's not over involved. It's just, it's nice. That in this stage of my life where a lot of guys drop it, I've picked it up a little bit more. So
Very cool.
that's been nice.
How about what turns you off?
Mean people, obviously, and then
Obviously.
people that are, I guess it's hard to say, but people that are me people. They listen to a lot of things, and then it always comes back to them, and they don't take a lot of time to listen to what's going on with other people, and you know the type. That's a turnoff for me, and we all know people like this and friends with them, and it's no fault of their own. But
Right.
that ends up being a little bit of a turn
That's
off.
a big turn off. Okay, what's your favorite curse word? And you can
Well,
say it.
Fuck. I mean, I mean, it's can you use a verb, a
Well,
noun,
a
an
lot of different
adjective.
things, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Come
It's
on,
like
it's
George
the best.
Carlin, the 7 words you couldn't say on TV. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's good. Hey, what sound or noise do you love to hear?
Song or noise that I love to hear.
Uh-huh.
It's going to sound kind of hokey, but we're coming up to that springtime where the birds are starting to chirp and you've got that little smell in the air. And it's just during that point, because when August comes around, you hear the birds, you got care less. But when the seasons change, that's kind of fun.
You love that. Well,
You're
that's a
you're
great
making me,
answer.
if you got a gun to my head right now, and you're making me think on the spot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good one. How about what sound or noise do you hate?
I will tell you, because it just happened the other day. They were cutting down trees, and so it's the first thing that's popping in my mind. When they throw those trees into that grinder, like it's just.
And you hear that?
It was
Sure,
right next.
sure.
It was right next door too. So I'm going off of recent memory.
This is good. This is
I
good.
didn't
A
prep.
couple
I
more
didn't
here.
prep for this, Tony.
No, neither. This is good. That's the best, because that's real, and that's what I love about it. It's life of it. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Now, you already tried teaching. You're a musician. Anything else you would like to attempt? Not a profession.
I'm a guy that's got to be moving. So any job that wouldn't be like that. I was football coach. I mean, I coached in college, and I almost went a little bit more serious towards that. I don't know. I'm really blessed as a person that, as I listen to my friends that might not like their job so much and everything I loved my career, um, and never really thought of doing anything else. I guess I would have went into some type of business. I was a sales guy for sporting goods stores and men's clothing, when
Okay.
I was growing up, and I knew I didn't want to do that.
So you
Um,
tried a little bit of everything. And
I did. Well, I mean, I did hot tar roofing in the neighborhood with a company, and nothing nothing makes you uh, be fascinated and respect the people that do those jobs more than doing it yourself. Uh,
absolutely. And that's
Absolutely.
basically that's the next question was which job would you hate to
That
do for a
that
living?
was that was my toughest job. I did it for a summer, and I was the guy that because I was younger and they wouldn't let me go on the roof, but I
Yeah.
was the guy that had to drop that 100-pound thing of tar in that melter, and I would come home and yeah, I would have that tar all over my chest, and I'd have to cut my chest hair or just shave it off.
Right, right,
It
right.
just it was and it made me appreciate manual labor. You know, I was a construction laborer too. Like I would clean up places before the electricians came in. And I knew I didn't want to do that as a career, but I'm so glad I did it because when I see people doing that, they deserve the money they're getting. And if they own their own company,
Absolutely.
if they own their own company, God bless them because we need everybody. And if you've got a passion for that or you're good at it, respect should go along to every profession.
I agree with you. And the last question for you: if you believe in God and the pearly gates, and you get up there, what would you like him to say when he sees you up there?
Um, I'd like him to say that I was a good guy, and if I wronged some people, I tried to make it right. And I certainly never boasted about anything like that. I tried to make it right and apologize when needed and go that route. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's how you deal with it and recover.
Yeah, yeah, and you answer these questions perfect because it came from your heart. Dan, you are one of the nicest guys I know,
Ah, you too.
and a
Appreciate
great
it.
drummer. Focal Point, of course. Rumor has it, Mojo's Jukebox. You can find Dan Dillon everywhere, folks. Dan, thank you for your time. Look forward to
Uh,
being with you on that cruise, buddy. It's going to be a
yeah, it's
lot
going to
of
be a
fun.
blast.
And all
It's
right,
going to
so
be a
one
blast.
more
I
time,
can't wait.
check out Dan Dillon, folks, and all his bands. Again, Rumor Has It,
Yep.
Vocal Point, and of course, Focal Point. Excuse me, Focal
Yeah.
Point and Mojo's Jukebox, and whatever else he's doing.
Yeah,
Check him
the
out on
focal
Facebook.
rumor has it's at the Broken Oar on the 6th. So,
Okay,
that's my next gig coming up. So
you got it. My good buddy Dan Dillon. Dan, thank you so much for being with us,
thank you
buddy. Have
so
a
much,
great
Tony. I
day,
love you,
and we'll
man.
see you on Monday rehearsal. Love you too,
Yeah.
buddy. Dan
All right.
Dillon, everybody from. Make sure
Talk to
you
you
check
soon.
him out. You got it, Pelly. A great drummer and a great human being and just a nice guy, man. You know what? In the music business, you all have people with some attitudes, and well, this guy's a jerk off or she's a jerk off or whatever it is. Look, we all have these days, and it happens. But this guy's right down to earth. Reminds me a lot of my good buddy Tony Toto, who plays with Mojo's Jukebox. I mean, who plays with Tony Ocean Show. Nice, laid back, and is always there for you. Again, thank you so much, Danny Dillon. Guys, I want to thank you all for watching. We are at the end of our hour, but we got some, like I said, Rosario's tonight with Double T at 7:30 in Roselle. Tomorrow, sold out show, Ocean's Rat Pack. That's a 7:30 hit. It's a 90-minute show in St. Charles by Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse. Saturday will be at Taverna on Division. On the 6th of March, we'll be at Zaza's in Lake Barrington. On the 8th, will be at Johnny's Kitchen and Tap, being there for the very first time in Glenview. On the 13th, we'll be at Bellanote in Lisle. That's a first-time show. We've never been there before. The 15th, Ocean Rat Packs return to Hobart Theater here in Indiana on the 15th of March. And then April 19th, we will be at the Getaway in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, right next to the French Country Inn. And that's going to be a lot of fun in Wisconsin. Guys, I want to thank you all for watching, everybody. We do appreciate. Sorry for the technical difficulty in the beginning of the show. We had a little problem with that. Armando Supermarkets, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. Buy local, shop local, and Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair for all your collision auto repair needs. Go to crashchampions.com. It's coming to the end of the hour, just like I said, folks, and we want to thank, of course, our sponsor, the number one sponsor we're talking about, and that's Ace Hardware, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure your car is winter ready for peak windshield wash. 1 gallon size is $1 off for the month of February. And don't forget Ace Wild Bird Food, 40-pound bag is only $18.99. And cold weather, we need the cold weather gear. Large selection of Carhartt gear, hats, gloves, warm-up booties, and winter jackets, 30% off. Buy them now so you have them for next winter, folks. It's Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods, guys. And just having a great Dan Dillon on. Tomorrow is Twisted Thursday with Carol Brandolino. And Friday, special surprise guest. We're working on 3 guys, trying to get them all on at the same time. So hopefully that will happen this Friday, guys. Again, Laura's doing fantastic. She's recuperating. I keep falling down. Thank you for this shirt that I got. Someone gave me that. A nice couple in Lamont last week gave me that shirt. Anyway, thank you for that. All right, guys. Anyway, buy local, shop local, support local establishments, support live entertainment. Be kind to everybody. It's a tough world out there. We need to be united. I don't want to use this as a dumb thing, but John Lennon said, come together. We need to come together right now. We've been so divided in this crazy world. Don't lose friends over politics, folks. It's just like arguing over the Bears and the Packers, or a Cadillac and a Lincoln, or Pepsi or Coke, or whatever it is. Just get together, be friends, get rid of your old beefs if you can. Life is too damn short, man. And that's what it's about. And Ringo Starr says, Sir Ringo Starr, one of the greatest drummers around, says peace and love. And we love you all very much. God bless you. Share the page. Let everybody know about Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. Lunchtime fun. You guys have an incredible day. God bless and sleep warm. Thank you so much. Nick Sahajas, the piano man, is going to take us out. Bye-bye.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from town.
Peace and love, everybody.